Carter and I ventured to a remote town in rural Michigan, reconnecting despite the physical distance. His family embraced the country lifestyle, so the move was no surprise. Their warm hospitality always made me feel welcome, even in their remote abode. Now, at 19 years old, I was in college, while Carter worked alongside his dad, who owned a vast property nearby. I had visited their place before, so this trip wasn't my first. The occasion was a fall weekend, and I had planned to stay at Carter's family home. His mom and sister were away, leaving just him and his dad at the house. The drive to their property was a lengthy 4.5-hour journey through farmland and open fields. The entrance to their place was a gravel road, about 300 feet off the main road. Upon arrival, I was warmly greeted by Carter and his dad, who were already in the backyard enjoying some beers. After unpacking, I joined them. Carter excitedly shared details about nearby trails that were perfect for off-roading, a prospect that intrigued me, even though I had never tried it before. We were both fitness enthusiasts, so the idea of some off-roading adventure was appealing. After Carter's dad grilled some burgers, he left for a friend's house. Carter and I hopped into my car, and he guided me to a nearby trail suitable for off-roading. We spent about an hour exploring various trails in the vicinity, not straying too far from Carter's house. As darkness started to envelop the area, we decided to head back to the main road, since off-roading in the pitch-black woods wasn't appealing. As we cruised along, passing farms and open fields, we encountered an abandoned church-like building adjacent to a vast cornfield. Carter mentioned he had driven past it numerous times, but had never explored it. We both agreed to return later with bikes, courtesy of Carter's family's collection of mountain bikes equipped with lights. Back at Carter's house, we packed a backpack with tequila, Sprite, flashlights, and headed out with 2 of their best bicycles, each fitted with night riding lights on the handlebars. The bike ride was expected to be around 20 minutes, but we didn't mind. We were both in great shape. Upon reaching the abandoned building, it had grown quite dark. We cautiously approached the property, ensuring no cars were around to spot us. Hiding the bikes in the cornfield, we navigated the grass, using the dim light of the fading evening. Our intention was to capture some intriguing Instagram shots inside if we could find a way in. Peering through a window with my flashlight revealed something odd in the pews, a motionless figure resembling a person's head hunched over, with its back to us. Carter initially thought it might be a mannequin, while I suspected a homeless person. We decided to check for a closer view and explore the building. Reaching the front door, we found it boarded up tightly, dispelling my homeless person theory. I suggested we check other windows for a better look. With the flashlight, we aimed towards the figure, but it had disappeared. This eerie development raised hairs on our necks. Moving around the building, we spotted the figure again, this time standing near the window, staring directly at us. Panic set in, and we fled to the cornfield, searching for our bikes in the darkness. We heard a door slam shut in the building, and, fearing pursuit, stayed low and silent. For a tense minute, we remained immobile. When Carter whispered, "Which way to the bikes?" we heard rustling in the cornfield nearby. In sheer terror, we sprinted, eventually emerging from the cornfield onto the road, leaving our pursuer behind. Carter called his dad, who picked us up. He was furious about the bikes, but understood why we left them. Returning the next day with his dad, we retrieved the bikes from the cornfield. As we glanced back at the church, we saw someone at a window, likely the same person. Carter's dad urged us to leave immediately, acknowledging the unnerving presence. Afterward, we reported the squatter to the local authorities. The incident left us deeply unsettled, and to this day, we wonder if that mysterious figure still haunts the abandoned church. I live on a farm with my brother and his wife, and we divide the responsibilities during the busy season. However, during the off-season, they often go traveling. I've been on my own since my fiancé passed away a few years ago, and I haven't really put myself back out there just yet. The solitude during the off-season can get to me. This particular incident occurred in early October, right before our last harvest. My brother Joe and his wife were out of town for a few days, and I had the farm to myself. It was a typical night with the windows open to let the refreshing October breeze flow through the house. Suddenly, I heard a blood-curdling scream from outside. The scream was high-pitched and could have come from either a teenage girl or a grown woman. Alarmed, I quickly got up from my lazy boy recliner and went to my bedroom to retrieve my rifle from the gun safe. I stepped outside onto the front porch, where the chilly night air greeted me. The scream had originated from the cornfield nearby. In response, I fired a warning shot into the air, unsure if someone was in danger or if it was just mischievous teenagers causing trouble. After the shot, I heard a woman's voice cry out for help, followed by an eerie silence. I called out, asking who was out there and where they were, but there was no response. I turned on all the exterior lights of my house and called 911 while cautiously entering the cornfield, still calling out for anyone who needed assistance. The police arrived with 4 officers, all taking the situation seriously. We combed through the cornfield, shining flashlights and calling out, but found no one. They advised me to call 911 again if I heard another scream for help and left. I returned to my house, double-checking the cornfield from the doorway. Afterward, I closed the door and turned off the lights, assuming it might have been local kids trying to scare the residents. About an hour later, I headed upstairs to bed, but before falling asleep, I heard creaks and clunks from downstairs. I had forgotten to close the windows on the first floor. My old house's thin walls made every sound audible. Fearing an intruder, I dialed my brother Joe, who was a few towns away. He confirmed he wasn't home, and, with growing anxiety, I asked him to call the police for me. He agreed and hung up. I crept downstairs, one step at a time, trying not to make a sound. I reached my safe, retrieved my shotgun, and proceeded down the stairs. As I reached the bottom, I spotted a tall, skinny figure. I warned the intruder not to move, but they didn't listen. The figure calmly exited my house, and I locked the door behind them. I called Joe back, informing him of the situation and requesting the police. He assured me they were on the way. I locked all the first-floor windows and waited. The same officers returned to investigate, but the intruder was long gone. Later, while finishing the last harvest of the season in the combine, I discovered a woman's shoe in the field. It was a size 8.5, and it brought back memories of the screams I had heard earlier that night. I called 911 again, and the police took the shoe as potential evidence in a possible disappearance. Strangely, there were no reports of a missing woman in our county at the time. I can only hope that whoever the shoe belonged to is still alive and well, as the thought of a possible murder on my farm makes me sick to my stomach.